Beth, that's Farmhouse. My name is Jordan, and today we're going to be making an oatmeal, milk, and honey soap. So if you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that I use 100% goat milk, and I also add oatmeal into all of my soaps. Well, today we're going to be adding some raw local honey as well. So I'm going to put my oatmeal and my honey in my melted oils, and then I will add in my milk lye solution and get everything mixed up. Okay, I got everything blended together, and I'm just going to weigh off a portion for my frosting here. As you can see, that honey is starting to turn my soap batter a little bit of a golden color. I'm actually not going to add any colorant to my frosting. I'm going to let it stay that golden honey color. So I'm just going to set this off to the side and let it thicken up while I work with the main batter. Okay, today's fragrance is Oatmeal Milk and Honey from Nurture Soap. Most soap suppliers have an oatmeal milk and honey fragrance, so if you're interested in it, then you can just grab some from your favorite soap supplier. I'm just going to start by hand mixing this in, stirring it all up with the goat milk and our honey. I assume that our batter is going to thicken up quite a bit. I'm going to split my batter off into 3 separate colors. This main batter, I'm just going to leave it the color that it's going to turn. The fragrance oil will discolor a slight bit, and then we have our goat's milk and our honey that will get it a nice creamy color. This middle container, I'm going to put some water dispersible titanium dioxide. In this last container, I'm going to add some shimmer gold mica from Nurture Soap. And we're going to get these 2 colors mixed in, starting with the white. I'm just going to scrape down the sides of my containers and make sure everything is mixed in well. This titanium dioxide, it won't be a bright white like normal, just because we have the fragrance which will slightly discolor and our honey. I can understand why this gold is called shimmer gold. It just really sparkles in the soap. Okay, so I think what I want to do today is an in the pot swirl. So I'm going to drop this on this side, come up high and back down, cross over to the other side, come up high and back down. And I'll scrape out my bowl. Okay, with this color, I'm just going to go the opposite corners, come up high so it penetrates, go back down low, same on the other side, come up high, go back down low, and give it a good scrape out. You know, everybody has those things that you get made fun of for, your little quirks. My husband always makes fun of me for scraping out my containers. I have to scrape every last little bit out. I can't leave any soap behind, which takes forever, which I'm sure y'all are glad for, that I don't leave the camera rolling the whole time I do this, because it really takes me a very long time, but I just have to get every little bit of soap out. Okay, I got those containers scraped out, and I'm just going to put my spatula in here Do a circle and a couple cut throughs, and we will get this in the mold. Another thing I get made fun of a lot for is saying y'all all the time. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I am originally from Texas, and particularly one of my friends makes fun of me for saying y'all all the time, but that's just something I grew up with and something that just stuck, and when you're from Texas, you just say y'all. It's just a normal thing to do. Every time I do something that she thinks is strange or quirky, her excuse for me is, you're just from Texas. I'm gonna get this bowl all scraped out, give the mold a tap down, make sure there's no air bubbles in it, and we'll be back to pipe the top. Alright, my frosting is set up and we're back to pipe. So for those of you wanting to know the thickness of my frosting, this is kind of where I let my soap batter get to. About this thick right here. So we'll get this in the piping bag and we'll start to frost. I'll be piping with an Atico 869 tip today. I love the ribbed look that this tip gives to the soap. So I talked about some of my quirks. I'm interested in some of yours. What's some funny things that you do that people tend to make fun of you for? Leave me a comment down below. I used this same tip on the Romance soap that I made. If you didn't see that video, I will link it in the eye at the top of this. So some things we want to do in the future on our little homestead, kind of long way off in the future, we want to get some honeybees. I was just pouring out some of that honey, I should say scooping out rather than pouring out. Raw honey is nice and thick, not like the honey that you buy in the grocery store, unless you're fortunate enough to have a grocery store that has raw honey. So our bees are something that we want to get in the future. I've been told that it's quite an expensive hobby, so it'll be when our girls get a little bit bigger and kind of can manage themselves a little bit more. Having a 8-year-old, 4-year-old, and 6-month-old that I stay home with all the time, they kind of take up all my time, especially with homeschooling. The last little dollop on the top here. Okay, so for the embeds, I have these little gold soapy gum balls made with that shimmer gold mica. I made a video on how I make my embeds, and I'll link that in the description box below, along with the eye in the upper right hand corner. These little gum balls are always hard to hold on to, so I'm going to take off my gloves and be very careful when I put them on the soap. Be careful not to touch it. That frosting wanted to collapse at the end of that one. Okay, I'm also going to sprinkle the top with some whole oats. I have some clear melt and pour that I've added some of that shimmer gold mica to as well. I'm just going to drizzle it across the top. A melt and pour helps to hold in any of your big botanicals or oatmeal. Just kind of helps lock them into the soap a little bit. Over it, making sure I get all of that oatmeal so that it stays at the top of the soap. All right, and we're done. I'm just going to give it a spritz with some rubbing alcohol, and I will bring you in for a close-up. This is what the Oatmeal Milk and Honey soap is looking like up close. Just so shimmery and sparkly, but looks like a dessert all at the same time. We'll be back in about 24 hours to cut this up. It's the next day and we're here to cut this soap. I want to show you how wonderfully speckled the honey has made this soap. It was a happy accident. I forgot that by putting your honey into your oils and mixing it up first, you can get this speckled effect. When you add it at trace, it gets distributed evenly throughout your soap. So luckily it looks well in the design. I was worried that the honey would speed up my trace, and that's why I wanted to add it in and mix it up beforehand. So I'm just going to turn this soap on its side so that none of the oatmeal gets dragged down with it. And we'll cut off this end piece. See if I get my embeds lined up correctly. I'm always really bad at lining them up. Have to be careful cutting through the top, have some of that melt and pour drizzle. My cutter isn't designed to cut melt and pour soaps. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, check out all those swirls. So if you remember, up here I left the frosted top uncolored. So that's just our goat milk and honey. And then down here we have the titanium dioxide, the shimmer gold mica, and the uncolored soap batter. And then on top we have our shiny gumball, the melt and pour drizzle, and our oatmeal. Still got a bit of a drag mark across that, but we'll get that cleaned up. Still got another drag mark there. That's what happens when you use things like oatmeal, or botanicals will do the same thing. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe. Give us a comment down below and hit that little notification bell and you'll be notified every single time we upload a video. Thanks for watching.